6:38, good morning. You're watching and listening to Breakfast with Stephen and Anne.
Let's take a look at today's newspapers then. The Sunday Telegraph is leading with Russia this morning, as most papers are. The mutineers turn back after striking a deal with the Russian president, or at least that's what we all think.
Putin pushed to the brink as the bloodbath is averted after the mercenaries turn back, is what the Sunday Mirror has to say.
And the Sunday Times there, more on the... Is it Wagner or no? It's
Wagner.
Wagner Group, yeah. They describe Putin as humiliated.
Now, something a little bit lighter in the Sunday Express. Sporty Kate stunned tennis royalty, with Roger Federer, that is, with her impressive serve. As the pair yesterday were highlighting the work of ball boys and ball girls at Wimbledon. It's a great picture.
Yeah, it is. Lovely picture. Time to go through them. Well, throughout the papers, actually, with Claire Pearsall and Lewis Oakley. So welcome, welcome. Claire, we're starting with the Wagner Group and the various descriptions of the mutiny, or what looked like a mutiny, being called off suddenly. You've been looking at The Observer, how The Observer's covering it.
Yeah, it was quite an interesting day yesterday. You sort of wake up and you think there's a coup happening in Russia, and it suddenly became very exciting, and everybody was an expert in what was going on over in Russia and understanding that kind of landscape. It's quite interesting now. The Observer's looking at the point that Putin is now at his weakest. He has been weakened. This is a dent to his authority. But I'm not so sure. When you read through other newspapers, there seems to be this divide that people think it's weakened him and other people think this is part of his grand plan to get everybody's attention away from what he wants to do with Ukraine and the other battles that he's going to fight around that kind of area. But it does highlight now, and the Observer picks this up, at how isolated Putin has become. He has lost a lot of his friendships. He's got China, who are backing away from it. They don't want to get involved in this. The other countries surrounding him have got NATO membership, and they're all looking very carefully at that. And even the likes of sort of Kazakhstan and Tajikistan and places like that are not roaming in to help. Everybody is taking a step back. Now, Prigozhin is quite an interesting character, and
to say the least.
To say the least.
It's a hot dog seller.
He was Putin's chef. And
but he started off on hot dog stalls.
Yeah, he did start off on a hot dog stall, and he's worked his way up, and he's become...
He worked his way up and then made a lot of money when, you know, Russia went capitalist.
This is it. He has never been in the military. Now, when you look at the footage of him and you read all of this, you would assume, when he's striding around in his combats, that he is a military man. He isn't. What he does have is some great presentational skills. So this is how he has risen to be the sort of multi-millionaire leader of a mercenary group now in Belarus. Now, I don't think that he is going to be as safe as perhaps he believes, just because he has managed to get over to Belarus and Putin has suggested all charges will be dropped. I don't think this is the end of it. I think this is the start of another nasty war in a country that has nuclear capabilities.
Yes. I think that's the thing to remember most, isn't it? That he's still got his finger on the nuclear button, if he so chooses. Lewis, you were looking at the way the Mail on Sunday is saying, did Putin bribe him with money?
Yeah, well, this is the thing that, I mean, I haven't seen any figures, but it's, you know, a lot of money to, you know, just stand down and go away. I mean, from all I can read, though, he doesn't need the money. He's got a lot of money. So I think, you know, this sounds more like it was about, you know, you've backed yourself into a situation now. You've only got 25,000 people marching here. Just go away, we'll drop the charges. I think that that's really more what probably tempted him to go. I'm not sure how the people of Belarus are going to feel about these 25,000 people that have, you know, are not good people. Many of them coming out of jails that are now able to go over there. So
and they're guilty of terrible atrocity in Ukraine,
really awful charges there. So, you know, if you were in Belarus, I'm not sure you'd be happy with that
Well,
deal.
some of them are joining the Russian army, supposedly. They've got a free pass to join the Russian army, should they want to.
Why would they want to? Because they've been mercenaries, quite well paid by the sound of it.
I think they
Really
don't
well
want
paid.
to go back to jail. They don't want to go and serve a sentence. They think they can get off scot-free if they go and join the Russians. But when all of this was happening yesterday, Russian troops, a large amount of them were kind of sitting around on their hands, not getting involved. So I don't think this is quite as clear-cut as everybody protecting Putin. And it's interesting to look at what's not happening as much as what is. And if they're not out there protecting their president, you can sense the unrest, and I wonder if more groups will form, more mercenary groups will pop up, and perhaps that is a start of it. With
that's very ugly.
This is the worry.
Terribly ugly, isn't it?
It is. It is. This is not the end, and I think we do need to be worried. I don't think it's as simple and as dry as people are making out.
No, well, I'm sure not. Let's have a look at the Sunday Times, Claire. The man who bankrolled Extinction Rebellion and Just Stop Oil is now saying, just stop.
Yeah.
He is indeed. A Californian entrepreneur, Trevor Nielsen, who co-funded the Climate Emergency Fund in America, which set up the likes of Extinction Rebellion, with some very heavy bankrolling from Hollywood A-listers and some very rich people over there, has now said that this disruptive type of activism doesn't work. And I think
that's quite something for him to say.
It is quite something for him to say, but I do think it's interesting that he makes a really valid point. Once you lose the respect of the public and their support, then you're on a sort of sliding scale back down to failure again. So I think it's sort of quite interesting, speaking from his home in Malibu. So I don't...
Yeah.
He's not from a normal background. He doesn't want to keep funding this kind of activism, and he's now coming up against those real believers in the cause and disruptive activism who are saying, no, you absolutely must, this is the whole point of it. And it would be nice to hear what people think. The people that are disrupted on a daily basis by the slow-walking groups, I wonder what they're sitting and thinking, because I think this chap is going to become a little bit of a hero to those people who are just fed up that nothing is being done. The police aren't... Well, they are starting to police now, but it has taken a very, very long time.
I'd very much doubt he's going to be a hero to any of them, because he's the one who opened Pandora's box.
I think, you know what, I don't know if you saw it, but I saw about a week or two ago, the school kids, they had enough, and, you know, they were quite unruly. And I did think, if you've lost the kids, that's a bit of a sea change for you. And also, I just don't know, I think we waste so much good time. We could be talking about potential solutions for what we could do on this kind of destructive activism that just irritates people. I don't think anyone's seen these protests and...
But one of the people in Extinction Rebellion retorted to this guy, said, look, we don't, you know, people have spent years, you know, signing petitions and having peaceful protests, and it's got us nowhere. At least we're being talked about by being disruptive.
But it still doesn't solve the problem. You can be talked about as much as you want. And the problem is, it's not as easy to reorganise society to hit net zero as people would like it to be. This is about really innovation. So we can kind of say, look, we don't want to be using fossil fuels, we don't want to be doing this, but it is going to take some time. We can't turn it all off now because we'd starve and there'd be no heating. So it's a tricky situation that is really not helped by causing disruption, I don't think.
The problem is, all these debates, which are nuanced, actually, become very black and white, don't they? I mean, that's the problem. We've got to turn it all off now. Greta Thunberg says, you've destroyed our future, and all this sort of language, which is nonsense.
And it is nonsense. And what would happen if you turned off all the oil and gas? I mean, the lights would go out and it would be absolute carnage. There has to be some middle ground with this, but unfortunately, like every debate, it seems, for the last 5 or so years, people come down on one side or the other. And you don't get the debate in the middle. You don't look at what the UK can do realistically. And nobody's going to accept, well, look, we can do this, but it's going to take 5, 10, 15 years. That's not immediate enough for some people. And I worry that this is now what the United Kingdom has become in terms of debate. It's either everything or nothing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the worry, is that you then lose the nuances. As you say, you don't look at the investments being made already. You don't look at what investments you can make in the future, things like nuclear, things like wind farms, solar farms, whatever it may be. You don't let that go ahead because you're stopping it by having an argument saying, but I don't want it because I'm not having it now.
Yeah. No, fair point. Fair point. Should we change tack?
Let's do it.
You on for tennis?
Let's talk about something positive. Born to Serve is the title here, which is quite nice. This is Kate Middleton. Talented Kate. She can do just about anything, apparently.
Can I just say, can we stop calling her Kate Middleton?
Yes, I think we all try to...
Because she's not a Middleton or Kate now, she's Catherine. Isn't she?
Okay.
I know, but I know she appears...
Princess of Wales.
The Princess of Wales. But it just... I know she appears in all the papers. People always call her Kate Middleton, but she's not, is she?
I know. Well, it annoys me when people call Meghan Markle.
Yeah.
Because she hasn't been Markle for quite a few years now. It's crazy,
branding,
isn't it?
it's branding. We
It is
can't
branding,
change.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she has teamed up with tennis legend Roger Federer. They have, had a game that's kind of been recorded, so it's a video. So the pair have shot this video to celebrate 250 ball boys and girls selected for next month's championships in southwest London.
Oh, look. She does look wonderful, doesn't she?
And they've taken kind of a behind-the-scenes look at how they're trained. And, they had a bit of a game themselves. And apparently she was quite good. When is she ever not?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, well, just for the benefit of our radio listeners, we've got a lovely shot there of them on a lovely grass court there, Federer and Princess Catherine, Princess of Wales, and they both look so fantastic in their tennis whites.
Yes. Jolly good.
Yes,
Jolly
anyone for
good.
tennis.
She can.
And we're seeing them with the ball boys and girls as well, who are brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, it's... whether she... The interesting thing is, I wonder if she's any good or not.
Why shouldn't she be? She was good.
Apparently.
No,
She's
but
She's
we'll
good
never...
at what she does, isn't she? She went to one of those posh schools there where
did
they would
she?
have played tennis every day. Yeah, she went to Marlborough.
I do wonder how hard she must work because, that she just seems to be great at everything. But, I'm like, did she spend, weeks practising for this one
wouldn't you?
appearance? Because I would.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it's one of those things, it doesn't look like hard work, but actually she probably woke up with them and thought, bloody neck, I'm going to go and play tennis with Roger Federer today.
Yeah.
Could be the last
I
thing
wish
she
I
wanted
could wake
to do.
up and think I've got to go and play tennis with Roger Federer. I mean, what a thing to wake up to. But I mean, she is sporty and she is very good.
Yeah.
And as Anne says, she went to a school which probably had the facilities to allow her to become an expert in many different sports, which a lot of kids don't have. And I think it's great that you look at the ball boys and girls and recognise the part that they play.
Yes. I always feel a bit sorry that Catherine has been able to do so much work at Wimbledon. She's the patron of the All England club now, and Diana, who was the Princess Diana, who was the absolute tennis mad fan, never got to do any of those things because they sort of didn't allow her to, and she wasn't. She would have loved to have done all of this stuff, wouldn't she?
Yeah, absolutely.
She was so into tennis, and
Why
yet,
wouldn't they let her do that?
Well, because she wasn't allowed to be patron because the Duke and Duchess of Kent were already.
That's right.
And so she couldn't even go along and sit there on finals day because that was seen as their job. So she got to see all the other tennis days. She went to as often as she possibly could.
Yeah.
But I think I'm right in saying that she wasn't allowed to go on finals day because that was seen as the Duke and Duchess of Kent's job.
It would upstage.
It would upstage
It would
the ones
upstage
who'd
them.
already got the job, yeah.
Oh, well, there's the thought. Claire, Lewis, got to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed.